All right, so I know you've encountered this situation. You're ready to go eat dinner with a friend and you ask them where they want to go. But instead of telling you what they want, they literally tell you everything they don't want. Each option you throw out there gets rejected. And 17 minutes later, you're extremely hungry, but have no plans for dinner. No matter what scenario you're in, whether it's dinner plans or making a business decision, indecisiveness drags things out. But if you stick around, I'm going to show you 3 steps to make sure that a decision gets made a lot quicker. All right, so if you've ever been there in one of those 15-minute business meetings that ends up being drug out to an hour long, you know what I'm talking about. Somebody's trying to make a simple decision, but nobody can decide. Indecisiveness is the worst. It makes it to where simple things, simple tasks get dragged into long events. But there's 3 steps that are proven to help you make quicker decisions. And these tips come from former FBI hostage negotiator, Chris Voss. So if he can do these things in high stakes, then I know that they'll work for just simple decisions like where to eat dinner. All right, so let's start with number 1. And that's what he calls labeling. Labeling is where you just put a label around what you see or what you hear. So it sounds something like this. It sounds like you're open to anything. And this does 2 things. Number 1 is it lets the other person know that you're listening, but it also unlocks some other options. So when I say that, the other person may say something like, yeah, but I just don't want to get tacos. I had that last night. All right, so now you've got somewhere to work with. And this is where you want to go with step 2. Present 2 to 3 options. And you don't want to go over 3 because that's overboard and it's just like you're throwing ideas out there. So I'm guilty of this. Sometimes I'll say things like, well, if you don't want tacos, we could get pizza, we could get burgers, we could get chicken, there's a new steakhouse. What do you want to do? Those options just get shot down. So what I do instead is I'll say, okay, well, I get it. You don't want tacos. We could get pizza or we could get burgers. And then they're possibly going to shoot this down. And that's where you unlock your ultimate option. And that's step 3. You're going to use no-oriented questions to get to where you really want to go. Now, this is a really cool technique. No-oriented questions are questions that you actually want the other person to say no. And we're so conditioned to asking things and getting to yes that we often overlook this. But here's the simple twist. If I said, do you want sushi? You're probably going to say, nah, that doesn't sound good either. But if I twist it and I say, would you be opposed to getting sushi? That's going to give you a little more perception of power. And you say, nah, I wouldn't mind that. So using no-oriented questions will help you get to a decision a little bit faster. So let's put it all together and let's do something a little bit better than just picking your next meal. Let's say you're picking out a background color for a set of slides that you're working on with the team. And you say, what color slides or what color background should we use for this? And they say, I don't care, you decide. But you say, how about green? And they say, nah, green doesn't work. Okay, so first you're gonna label it. So it sounds like you don't mind which color we use for the background slides. And then they may say, yeah, I just want something bold. Okay, so then you bring them 2 options. We could go with yellow or we could go with green. And then they'll say, yeah, I don't want to go with either of those options. And now you're going to bring in your no-oriented question. Would you be opposed to us just using red as the background? And they're probably going to say, no, I don't mind. So remember that. Next time you're in a discussion for dinner or you're stuck in a meeting that is lasting over an hour that should have lasted just 15 minutes, use these 3 steps. Number 1, labeling. Use phrases like it sounds like or it feels like to reflect back what you're hearing and get a little more information out of the other person. Step 2, you're going to present 2 or 3 options. And then no more than that, just the 2 or 3 options, and listen to what they're saying. Listen why they reject those. And finally, with your option that you're really wanting to go with, use a no-oriented question. Would you be opposed to? Would it be crazy to think that we could ... Whatever you want to use, make sure that you're posing that question in a way that you're getting to know and not yes. because that gives the other person the illusion of power, and people make decisions a lot quicker when they feel like they're empowered. So give it a shot. Let me know what you think, and if this is a communication tip that helps you better solve for indecisiveness.